back at it with 100 Days of ML, and today is day 36. I'm going to be continuing model training. So today I'm going to be modifying model.py, adding the TFX component to pipeline, hopefully, and also testing the pipeline. So where I left off last time, I believe I was modifying model.py, and I was running into some issues when running the pipeline locally. So I'm going to continue troubleshooting that for now. So first things first, what I'm going to do is open up my Docker container and run the pipeline from the Docker container. That was really quick. So next up, I forgot what the command is, but I have to tfx build a pipeline locally. So tfx pipeline create local runner.py, and then I'll run the pipeline using this command. Okay, I have to cd into the ML directory, and let's do this again. All right, it got compiled. Now I'm running the pipeline, and let's check for errors. I believe when it gets to the trainer component, it's gonna run into an error. So let's navigate to pipeline. So we can see here, this is the deep learning model. It has 5 layers: embedding, dropout, average pooling, and then dropout again, and then followed by a final dense layer with only one output, which would either be a 0 or 1 based on the classification of either the negative or positive paragraph. So the error I was getting here was something that I haven't seen before. It may have originated from an input. So I'm not sure how I'm gonna debug this. Function was canceled before it started. Cast string to float is not supported. So string is being cast to float somewhere. It happens in model. Line 192, I believe. So let's navigate to model 192 callback. Is it the TensorBoard that's going wrong? The issue is like finding errors which are like in the pipeline is kind of hard to debug because most of the people don't really build pipelines to begin with. So there's nothing much on Stack Overflow, and it's like ML, so this is it's a very niche situation, niche topic. says 0 successful operation, 0 derived, ignore. Unimplemented. 2 root errors found. But where is this happening? Unimplemented and cancel. Function was canceled before it started. Okay, this is exactly what I've been getting to. So hopefully, based on your model, you should have integer tensor as your input. Your first layer is embedding layer, which expects integer values. Okay, I see. So I'm probably feeding it a string. As far as I understand, you have a list of all possible input strings in a vocabulary. If so, you have to send an integer codes of input string, not the string itself. Okay, this makes a lot of sense now. Let's just take a look at his Google Colab. Sequential model. Where's this embedding layer? This is a conv model, which is kind of odd, because here he was talking about embeddings. It might have been changed. Okay, so based on my model, I have to output what is it? Model.py run function here. Where am I passing in my inputs? Because I need to figure out like what data type and shape and size my inputs are. If I can print it, then probably I can understand what's going on. Here I'm building the Keras model, and then I'm providing max features and embedding dimension. Let's go back to TFX, TensorFlow IMDb text classification and check out how they're training the model. So trained dataset is being mapped using the vectorized text. vocabulary size set to 10,000. So I need to somehow map the train and test data set using the vectorized data text. And I also need to figure out how to do that while being in the pipeline. I could try printing train data set and viewing the output in the terminal. And I think this has to go back to feature pre-processing API where I'm using text vectorization, vectorized layer. So here I'm returning vectorized layer, which is using text vectorization. And I think text vectorization comes from TFX. Here I'm using compute and apply vocabulary. Is transform ever used? I don't think I'm using this method. Okay, so I use compute and apply vocabulary to text standardization of the input keys. I just want to check what this looks like. So what I'll do is print, actually, let's not do this in the loop. And then I'll print out like the first one or something. Because if I do this, it's going to key here. Key in feature stuff, feature key. A key is just one. I think this is fine if I leave it in the loop because there's only one key in feature keys. That's just reviews. So either way, it's going to end up printing everything. So I need this outputs to be in a tensor array like this. So let's go ahead and check. Let's see, did it output? I don't see the output anywhere. I get the models.summary. It should have printed the pre-processing like somewhere right here. Is this it? Oh no, this is the model. Oh no, wait, is this? Repeat data set, shapes, reviews, and then types. I think this is what it's printing. And I don't think it's printing the train data set within model because it reaches an error before this even happens. Shouldn't the error happen during fit? Maybe it's because when it's compiling, it's running into an error when it's compiling the model. It still doesn't make sense though. It didn't print output here, so I don't think this is what I'm looking for. I don't even think it printed the output. Here's the trainer. And this is the outputs for the trainer function. Wait, it did run? We have it right here. This is also the trainer. Example validator. Why didn't it go through the transform? Where's the transform? component trainers running. Example validator finish, but next up it just goes to trainer without transform. Not sure why that happens. All right, hold up. I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. Let's see, where did I leave off? So for some reason, I figured out that transformer component is not running after the example validator, which is kind of odd. So here I append example validator, and you can see the component running here, right? And then we get the inputs, we get the outputs. Upstream is schema and statistics gen. So next up we have in the pipeline, what does it say here? Anomalies are written. Successful. Publishes the artifacts. And next up, example validator. Yeah, so it's publishing the anomalies. So example validator is finished, and then next up it opens trainer without running transform. I don't know why. And then we get the outputs from trainer here. Upstream is CSV and schema. Goes to a new execution. It's doing it again. So we get an error here. I guess it's pretty standard. So when the pipeline is completed, you should see something like this. Info, blessing result true, written to. That's what it should look like. What does ours look like? So here it says training model. So all of this must be during training. And then we get review has shape, dimension size 1. Sentiment has shape, dimension size 1. Blah, 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 again and again. It's all set to dense tensor. So we got to here, training model, and then, right, so it does this. Setting to dense tensor. And then displays the model. And then, what's this? So it comes till here, and then when we're trying to run the epochs, it runs into an error. Metadata is initialized, and then it fails while running the epochs. It's most likely because I'm passing in string as the data set. How do I even like debug this? It's not printing out anything to the terminal. I gotta figure out how to basically get these outputs displayed onto like Jupyter Notebook or something. Otherwise, it's just going to be impossible for me to debug. Like I need to get these like components outputs somewhere and figure out how to actually like visualize them as well. Oh wait, so that's schema. Let's take a look at transform. Transform didn't run. See, the latest that it ran was like 74. I don't know why like after 74 it just stopped working. There's no outputs for trainer because it didn't work. You know, 102 split eval is empty. That's interesting. There is no 103 output for this. Okay, I feel like I've run into a roadblock here. I'm not too sure like what I'm doing or how to debug this. I need to figure out how to display this TFX pipeline output. Hmm. I don't know. It's, it's most likely because of the fact that um, in pre-processing, I think the outputs is not transform name. Okay, so computer vocab, apply vocabulary. What does this do? I want to know what the output would be. So it returns a tensor or sparse tensor where each string is mapped to an integer. I mean, if it's being mapped to an integer, I shouldn't be having a string error because basically what I'm doing is returning this tensor, or yeah, I'm using that tensor as the output's um, features. So I'm replacing all the features using, yeah, with this tensor, which is an integer tensor. And that's being fed into the model. How exactly is the train data set being built? So it's using the transform output. That's why it's probably not running the transform component every single time. It's just using the pre-existing metadata. What is going on here? The Keras model builds correctly, I know that for sure. It's just the data set, when I'm feeding in the input data, the data set's not working properly. Because of the tensor board. Callbacks is equal to tensor board underscore callback. It is pointing to this right here, saying this input is not correct. How about I just don't specify callback? Nope, same error. Now it's pointing to 194, which is validation steps. So yeah, it's happening during fit 194. So yeah, it's happening during model.fit, and I think it has to do with the train data set. I need to somehow figure out how to mimic this on Jupyter Notebook so I can debug it. Ah, this is a pain. All right, well, I just update. I don't know if I want to continue model training again tomorrow. I'm just insanely tired of this whole pipeline thing. What I might do is just read. I might go back to reading the building ML pipelines, and I'll read chapter like 13 or something, which is about Kubeflow. So take a break from the pipeline process. And let's commit changes to GitHub. I'm not really sure how I'm gonna debug that. I think over time I'll probably learn something. Today it should be day 35. Or is it day 36? So it should be day 35. Finish day 35. Oh, I just named it again. 36. 35 is model training. 34 was yesterday, which I did pre-processing yesterday. Thought I did model training yesterday. $31, $32, $33, $34, $35, $36. I don't think I made a mistake in the numbering. Okay, so I'll just get rid of this then. And then day 36 for tomorrow, I'll be reading ML pipelines, and then maybe after that, I'll continue with model training. I'm just going to give myself a little break from creating the pipeline. I don't want to get too bored. All right, so I'll call it for today.